Hilights has been around for an awfully long time. It was popular way back when I was just a little kid. What I like about sports today is that so much of it is on TV. When I was growing up, there was maybe football, maybe baseball, maybe basketball, if you had an antenna. If you didn't have an antenna, you didn't get anything.
Oh, really? And they were learning how to tell stories. A group of Toastmasters thought on a Friday evening they were getting together for a pro-con meeting, but in reality, they have entered the TV debate zone.
If there is nothing that you want to watch on TV today, you don't want to watch TV. Because there is something for everybody.
If we keep going down this path, we'll have nothing but reality shows. And actually that wouldn't be too bad, because I love reality shows.
I got to sit in my easy chair Sunday and watch Please Cut Off.
Lost in space. I'm sitting there listening to him speaking and I'm thinking, you know what? He is lost in space.
Wilbur.
What I like about the shows today is how cerebral they are. You really have to sit there and think about what's going on. This isn't Donna Reed. This isn't Father Knows Best. This is Lost in Space, Deep Space Nine, which is a little more intriguing because you're dealing with aliens, things that you've not seen before.
Green Acres is the place for me. Farm living is the life for me.
Back in the late 60s, a gentleman named Newton Minow, who was then president of the FCC, Federal Communications Commission, said, television is a vast wasteland. Most of what I've seen, and most of what I did see, didn't do much for me.
I think the perfect person to travel with in space would be Linda, because she's always eager to try something new, to meet somebody new.
Watching reruns of Lost in Space. This show had such great stories.
There is nothing like TV today. You have so much that you can watch. You have so much that you cannot watch. You have such a wide variety. TV today, one of the things that I like about TV today is the realism. It's so real. You talk about things that are happening today.
I have a fantastic idea for a new show. It takes place in Hawaii. Disabled, injured, crotchety detective with a sidekick who is a sign bag.
Just sit right back and you hear a tale of a fateful ship. There's Gilligan, the skipper.
Well, that was a somewhat cerebral round. No serious bloodletting. 1951, we got our first television. And I started watching reruns of Republic movie westerns with Gene Autry, Roy Rogers, and Bob Steele, and Hopalong Cassidy.
Many shows have like 3 notes. I think Seinfeld has 3 notes. I can't remember exactly which 3 notes, but I know.
You better hang on tight because I think you're in for a ride here. One of the beauties of today, as opposed to yesteryear, is the fact that I can sit down when I'm ready to relax. Now, I'm a pretty busy guy and I like being busy. But when I want to relax, I don't want to chance.
I just described Hawaii Five-0, Ironside, 6 feet under, and of course, 2.5 men.
Lock and load one sugar
Are talking to a horse? Talk about stupidity.
They are geared towards kids and young adults, and I'd say young married people. I don't think we should have them. They are immoral, they are not memorable, and they teach violence.
My time wasn't wasted. I was totally engaged. That's the beauty of the day, is being engaged in what's out there.
To get an audience, each show is competing for being the most radical, the most bad.
Have you noticed that all the pro-side speakers are teachers, educators? You would think that they would be against TV, period. Turn the damn thing off and go home and read your book.
Any decade we look at, there are good shows that are produced, but many of them are not given a chance to succeed and develop an audience.
I would love to watch a show that lives the cameras that live with the Ronskis. Don't you think that would be so interesting to watch how they react to each other at home? I can only imagine who has control in that household, Cheryl. But you never know.
Two Jews disagreeing about TV.
For people who like something a little racy, True Blood, vampires. It's just an updated version of one of my cult favorites, Dark Shadows.
Now, in my day, when I watched TV in the 50s, we watched good shows that had songsters. I liked Jimmy Rogers' show and the Ricky Nelson show. He was my favorite. Oh.
Nowadays, we got American Idol and America's Got Talent. So not only do we see great acts, such as people swallowing swords or blowing themselves up, but we get to see some really awful performances. And let's face it, all of us enjoy a little Schadenfreude once in a while. And new shows provide that.
Any decade we look at, there are good shows that are produced, but many of them are not given a chance to succeed and develop an audience.
If we have any boxing fans here, you know, an even match, if the match is even at the last round, they let it all hang out.
Because my dad was a fan of Lawrence Welk. From 8 to 9 o'clock, Lawrence Welk. No matter what. Man, I tell you, he was tough.
Do you think they'll be watching Seinfeld 60 years from now? I don't think so.
Let's look at family shows. I heard a lot about the family shows. In the past, we had Leave It to Beaver and Lucy.
That's what we need today. What's happening in our society today? Morals are going to pot. There's too much violence. Crime is rampant.
I think the shows in the past actually contribute to the ills of society. Double beds, stupidity. They all celebrated stupidity. People talking to horses.
There is nothing new. So how can you say that TV is better today than it was, yes, in yet longer years ago? If all they're doing is taking old scripts, maybe making a few changes, adding this, taking this, combining this, and oh, we got a new show. But in fact,
No, Alan is right to a point. Yeah, Sullivan has said that there's nothing new under the sun, but that doesn't apply when it comes to TV. TV today is so much better and so...
Is even the reality shows today, it's a mystery who they're going to vote off the island. It's realistic. It's things that are going on today. But then, you know, when you start to think about it, how realistic can it be when you have 5 cameras following you around?
Oh my! How can you get lost on a boat, or you have a high-tech ship and you get lost in outer space?
And one of the beauties of the system we have now is you can go looking for things that will interest you, that will keep you entertained at a time when you need to be entertained.
That's how our technology has evolved.
Now in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there were so many classic shows that were produced. And they're still watched today in syndication. Just sit right back and you hear a tale of a fateful ship. There's Gilligan, the skipper.
But there are some shows that have lessons. One of them is Breaking Bad. It's won a lot of accolades for the fact that it looks at somebody who develops cancer, and to make sure his family is going to be okay after he's gone, he becomes a drug dealer.
My point is, there is nothing, with a few exceptions, new under the sun when it comes to television.
Now we got Discovery Channel's Sharkathon, where we can chow down on blood and gore and sharks munching on living creatures. Yeah.
Case in point, White Collar on cable TV. Just their remake of It Takes a Thief.
They teach that bad is good. The shows of the 50s were the opposite. They taught love and warmth and caring.
The Big Bang Theory. All that is Friends with a bunch of nerds. Nothing new.
Listen to a story about a man named Jeb, a poor mountaineer who kept his family fed.
There's nothing new, a new idea, because the older shows are great. So they just take an old show, and in case in point, they've already remade Hawaii Five-0.
And like the Leave It to Beaver is another example. That showed how family life really was back in the 50s. I wanted to be the beaver.
I know Lucy was supposed to be good, but I couldn't sit there and watch the whole program. All I remember was, Lucy, you got some explaining to do.
Now we got such great shows such as The Big Bang Theory.
And my favorite, a horse is a horse, of course, and no one can talk to a horse, of course, unless, of course, the horse is the famous Mr. Ed.
Most of them being mindless sitcoms. Case in point, Mork and Minnie. I know a few of you love Mork and Minnie, but come on. Is it really funny?
But now I can watch Australian football on TV and sit there and imagine to myself, these guys don't have any padding.
I remember, I'm not dating myself, Leave It to Beaver, and that show has its moments.
Where being a nerd is not only cool, but the scientists get the girls also. Now we got The Simpsons and Family Guy. And we love those shows because after watching the new modern shows, we realized our dysfunctional families aren't that bad after.
And you have the opportunity to TiVo it. And that's the great thing about TiVo is you have with 200 channels, you can TiVo out all more of this junk that has, this junk just rises to the top. But TV has not gotten better.
It becomes a real slugfest. And that's what we got going on here.
And let's look at comedy shows. I heard a lot about comedy shows such as Gilligan's Island or Get Smart. I mean, how smart is it to talk into a shoe? Hello?
Well, we only see the best of what comes over across the pond. Have you ever watched some of the stuff the English watch on regular TV? How stupid that is?
Wilbur.
Back then, their major concern was whether or not Mary remembered her pom-poms that she was going to be a cheerleader at the ball game. I can count at least 3 zombies from here.
Give me a break. I mean, my students know that non-human animals don't really speak, at least most of them do.
So it's realism. It's real. It's what's happening. And I really like that. I can really relate to that.
Oh, really?
And they were learning how to tell stories.
You better hang on tight because I think you're in for a ride here.
Now in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, there were so many classic shows that were produced. And there's still still watched today in syndication.
Now we got The Simpsons, Family Guy. And we love those shows because after watching the new modern shows, is we realized our dysfunctional families aren't that bad after.
If there is nothing that you want to watch on TV today, you don't want to watch TV. Because there is something for everybody.
Hey, come on, Lost in Space, danger, Will Robinson, danger, danger. The Lucy Show. Man, do you want your daughter to be in a marriage like what they did? Separate twin beds? You'll never be grandparents that way. And the shows today, everyone talks about Breaking Bad. I want to be that character. Shaved head, ex-chemistry teacher, I can relate to that.
Most of what I've seen, and most of what I did see, didn't do much for me.
And like the Leaving Theater is another example. That showed how family life really was back in the 50s. I wanted to be a
Well, that was a somewhat cerebral round. No